It is that time of year to start our prospecting videos. We're going to start them off like we do every year with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know some of you are excited about that. Troy, I'm looking at you. So without further ado, let's get it rolling with these honorable mentions. I know sometimes we put the cards in the videos, but we're not going to do that in this. I'm just going to tell you guys that most of the cards you're going to be looking for these guys are going to be their first Bowman autos. That's the one most people collect. That's the ones that are sought after, the ones that are traded the most. All that is going to be the first Bowman autos. Some of these other players that'll have a Leaf card, like a Leaf Perfect Game or something like that, or the minor league cards or something like that, I usually tell you guys it's not worth it till they get a first Bowman auto out. Some guys are not going to have an auto in first Bowman. They're going to have a refractor is going to be the one you're chasing, stuff like that. So we're just going to go with that caveat and get started on this list. Honorable mention number one is going to be David Hageman. He's a starting pitcher. He's in high A. He's 6'3", a little more on that later on. 215 pounds, and he's 22 years old. Last season, we're going to stick with last season's stats for now because the season just started. He was 1-1 with a 2.98 ERA, a .85 WHIP, 55 strikeouts, and a 174 batting average against in 42 1/3 innings pitched. Originally drafted by the Rangers in the 4th round, Hageman was sent over in the Merrill Kelly deal, although Kelly would re-sign with Arizona this winter. The Rangers had converted Hageman to a starter in 2025. So Arizona continued the transition, with him starting 18 games between the Texas farm system and Arizona's. In college at West Virginia, he was primarily used as a reliever, before needing internal brace surgery in 2024. He features a low to mid-90s four-seam fastball, but it can reach 98 if needed. And he relies heavily on his slider as his go-to strikeout pitch. Some scouting systems tag it as a cutter, but Hageman himself even says it's more of a gyro slider. He does have a curveball and a changeup, but not using them much as a reliever in college. He's still developing both of them. He stands 6'3", which came down from 6'4" with the new measuring system. Happened to a lot of guys this year. And his delivery hides the ball well until it's released. Last season, he didn't allow many base runners with a .85 WHIP, while striking out 11.69 per 9 innings. He was a little more efficient against righties versus lefties, but that's to be expected for a right-handed pitcher. He did struggle a little in his final start in high A, going 2 2/3 innings, giving up 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 earned runs, and giving up a leadoff home run to Anthony Skull. He still needs to prove he has the arm endurance to make it as a starter, but if he can do that this year in the minors, he may find a spot as a number 4 or more likely a number 5 starter in the Diamondbacks rotation in 2027 or probably 2028. Our final honorable mention is Drew Jones. He's a center fielder. He's in high A. He's 6'2", 180 pounds, and he's 22 years old. Last season, he hit .255 with 5 home runs, 56 RBIs, and 28 stolen bases, and a .335 on-base percentage. That was in 478 at-bats. Jones was number 2 on my list last season, so it pains me to have him as just an honorable mention on this year's list. Hey, I can't get them all right. And realistically, if he hadn't been on last year's list, he probably wouldn't have been on this year's either. But here we are. I can honestly say that his defense and his speed are what has kept him barely hanging on to this list. Basically, the same breakdown I gave last season still, unfortunately, applies, with some adjustments for the numbers. Now he's just a year older. So, here it goes. He has all the tools, is the proper description of Jones. Using them all, or really putting them all together, may be the difficulty he faces. In the field, the comparisons to his father are, so far, rightly deserved. He covers ground with ease, maybe a little faster than his father did, but I'm not going to say he quite has the first step nor field vision yet that his father did. On the base pass, he does show off that speed, stealing 28 bases last season. At the plate, he still has some learning to do, though. He has the exit velocity, the power potential, but it hasn't translated to home runs yet like it did with his father. As I generally say, some extra work in the weight room wouldn't hurt him, but he is big enough that he should be producing a little more in the power department. Update from last season, he did not add any weight nor power. A little work on his timing and pitch selection, and maybe a little more pulling versus pushing in his swing, and he could start finding the potential everyone is hoping for him. He has all the tools, but he needs some work. He cut down on his strikeouts last season, but saw his numbers drop significantly in the walk department. I had high hopes for him as a Braves fan, even though he's on the Diamondbacks. But he's only 22, so there's still some hope out there. So here we go. And number 10 is going to be Yancel Lewis. I think that's how we say that. I don't know. You guys know we're going to butcher some names all the way up and down this list. He is a shortstop, kind of a utility infielder, but we'll say shortstop. In high A, he's 6 foot tall, 170 pounds, and he's 21 years old. I think he just turned 21 not that long ago. He hit last season 311 with 5 home runs, 67 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, and a 347 on-base percentage. That was in 421 at-bats. Yancel did the opposite of Jones, climbing out of the honorable mention spot last year to make this year's top 10 list. Yancel had a breakout year last year at High Hillsboro, hitting 311, a 46-point boost from 2024. Drove in 17 more runs in 3 less games and stole 4 more bags. At 21, he is progressing nicely as a prospect, though his fielding has suffered, but some of that can be attributed to him playing more games at third base last season. I would also like to see Lewis show a little more patience at the plate, as his walks were way down to a minuscule 27 in 463 plate appearances, which is what led to that tiny 36-point difference between his batting average and his on-base percentage. Lewis also faces the same struggles he did last year, though, with a talent ahead of him in the minors and especially now in the majors. The Diamondbacks extended Perdomo through 2030 and have Marte through then as well. The addition of Arenado at third this season pretty much handcuffs Lewis for at least the next 2 seasons, with the only hope being a limited utility role, possibly in the next few years. Again, like last year, we kind of hope Lewis may become a part of a trade deal and find a new home with more opportunity. But at 21 years old, if he stays with the Diamondbacks, he will be 25 before the middle infield spot most likely opens up for him. Number 9 is Mitch Bratt. He's a starting pitcher. He's in AAA. He's 6'1", 190 pounds, and he's 22 years old. Last season, he was 7-4 with a 3.38 ERA, a 1.17 WHIP, and he struck out 148 batters. He also had a 255 batting average against in 122 and a third innings pitched. And although I tell you guys not to do it, I picked up a Mitch Bratt rookie card. I just got it at a good price and picked it up. Unrelated to this video, but that is a Leaf Pro Set rookie. Don't go after that one. Do as I say, not as I do. That's how you'll be successful. Bratt made the move from Canada to Statesboro, Georgia, when the world was down with a sickness. And Canadian baseball, that was horrible. And Canadian baseball was still shut down. He found success at Georgia Premier Academy, going 3-1 with a 1.62 ERA and 59 Ks and 30 1/3 innings pitched his senior year. Drafted by the Rangers in the 5th round, Bratt would pitch at 19 for the Canadian team in the World Baseball Classic, becoming the youngest player on their roster. He would only record 1 out in the WBC and would end up giving up 6 runs. But he uses that struggle as fodder on the mound now. Bratt came over the Merrill Kelly deal as well and has 5 pitches, but really his top 3, a low 90s fastball, a low 80s slider, and a mid 80s cutter are his go-to pitches. Bratt's success is in his ability to place pitches where he wants and to use his off-speed stuff off of that fastball. The velocity is not what Bratt relies on, but the movement he has and control, especially with that cutter, help him limit the walks and boost his strikeouts. Last season with the Sod Poodles, Bratt had a minuscule 3.76 walk rate and struck out 148 batters and 122 1/3 innings pitched. When Bratt can't quite locate his pitches, he does have a tendency to give up a homer or two, giving up 5 home runs in 6 games after the trade to the Diamondbacks. If he can add a little more velocity and keep his location solid, Bratt may find a place in the Diamondbacks rotation sometime this season. Number 8 is going to be Gino LeJames Groover. He's a third baseman. He's in AAA. He's 6'2", 212 pounds, and he's 23 years old. Last season, he hit 309 with 12 home runs, 56 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. He had a 399 on base percentage and 470 at bats. I know I said I'm not really going to talk about the cards on here, but for him, I feel like I need to make a distinction. His cards, that first Bowman that you're looking for and stuff like that's going to say Gino Groover on it, but he's going to sign it. The signature is with the LeJames signature on there. And some of his cards have it's LUJAMES. Some of them have that on there, where other ones are just the Gino. So if you're looking for his cards, that's not 2 different people. It's the same person. So that's just a little tidbit of information there that can trip people up when they're looking for his cards. With both Arenado and an aging Carlos Santana's contract up in 2027, the Diamondbacks will be looking for corner infield talent soon and would love for it to be internally. Last season, they primarily featured Groover at third base, but with the move to AAA, he may find some more playing time at first base this year as well, when the hot starting Luken Baker needs a breather. The power's there, but he has a tendency to abandon it when down in the count, especially with 2 strikes, hoping to just put the ball in play rather than swing for the fences. which is great for his strikeout numbers that remain low with this approach, never striking out more than 15% in any pro season. But at the corner infield, Arizona would love to see him trust his power a little more in tighter situations. Ideally, moving to first would be best due to his average arm strength, but he's going to need to step it up in that department to pass Baker for the first corner infield spot call-up. Number 7, and I know everybody just wanted me to get here, so I'd have to say it, is J.D. Dix. He's a shortstop. He's in low A. He's 6'2", 180 pounds, and he's 20 years old. Last season, he hit .297 with 2 home runs, 34 RBIs, 28 stolen bases, a .404 on-base percentage, and that was in 340 at-bats. The 35th pick of the 2024 draft, the switch-hitting Dix, let's just go with JD. The switch-hitting JD had slightly better numbers from the left side of the plate last year with a .411 on-base percentage and a .298 batting average. If you're looking for power, you won't find it here. Not yet. Although, like I always bring up, the weight room can work magic sometimes. Speed, however, he has that in buckets. Posting a .404 on-base percentage last season gave him plenty of opportunities to showcase that speed, stealing 28 bases in 89 games, with the majority of that coming in his 50 games after his call-up to A-ball. Outside of Carroll and maybe Perdomo, the Diamondbacks are light on speed and could use someone who could get on and get over. JD faces the same difficulty, though, as Lewis, with the middle infield being locked up for the next few years. So it may not quite be JD's time, with the bigger names ahead of him in the farm system and the majors, including the next player on this list, and Lewis, who we talked about earlier. Both of those names move up, so does JD. Look for maybe a late 2028 call-up, probably as a pinch runner, more likely a 2029 utility debut in his future. Speed never slumps, though. And if he keeps up a .400 on-base percentage, they may start itching to get those wheels in the bigs sooner rather than later. Number 6 is Tommy Troy. He's a second base shortstop, utility middle infielder, we'll call him. He's in AAA. He's 5'9", 197 pounds, and he is 24 years old. Last season, he hit .289 with 15 home runs, 66 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, and a .382 on-base percentage. That was in 499 at-bats. 2025 was really Troy's first fully healthy pro season, and he was able to show why the Diamondbacks took him 12th in the 2023 draft. After a hot Arizona Fall League run, Tommy followed up by hitting .289 with 15 home runs and swiping 28 bags. 15 home runs is really about his power ceiling right now, but as we know, the weight room can always add a few more. Although with Troy's swing, he more tends towards a doubles or singles hitter, but 20-30 seasons wouldn't be completely unheard of in his future. The switch to second base makes it difficult for Troy to move up to the majors, with Marte's talent and contract locked in through 2031. Going back to shortstop this year may open up more of an opportunity for him, although this transition would hurt J.D. Dix, who we just talked about. However, with Tim Tawa, who we like, being a middle infield utility guy in the majors, and suddenly the hot Fernandez being the backup corner infielder, it doesn't free up much, if any, of an opportunity for a utility call-up anytime soon for Troy. Although he is very solid with contact, especially on the heat and the sinkers, Tommy needs to work on getting to that off-speed stuff a little more this season. Being a trade piece or possibly injuries popping up may be the only shot Troy has at cracking the bigs in the foreseeable future, even with his solid hitting talent. Tommy has started 2026 off hot in Reno, though, hitting .353. Number 5 is Slade Caldwell. He's an outfielder. He's in high A. He's 5'9", 182 pounds, and he's 19 years old. Last season, he hit .260 with 3 home runs, 38 RBIs, 25 stolen bases, and a .408 on-base percentage. That was in 407 at-bats. I debated between Case and Cunningham or Slade Caldwell at this spot, but ultimately I left Cunningham off this list because he's behind a lot of the talent in the system's depth chart. They're both talented players, but I think outfield presents more of a breakout opportunity than does middle infield in this system. Caldwell can flat out get on base and has a decent amount of speed to get himself over. Both needs for the flat-footed Diamondbacks, other than, of course, Carroll, and again, maybe Perdomo. As often happens on these lists, Gatorade has helped us out here. Caldwell was Arkansas's 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year and is widely regarded for his eye. The knock on that is that Caldwell would rather take a walk than anything, sometimes taking pitches in the zone instead of attacking them. Hopefully the Diamondbacks can build a little more urgency into his approach, because despite his small stature, he does have a little bit of power when he makes contact. If Caldwell can keep up his solid eye and maybe mix in a few of those hits that he otherwise might miss, he has a real shot at a 2027 call-up or a 2028 debut. Number 4 is A.J. Vukovic. He's an outfielder. He's in AAA. He's 6'3", 210 pounds, and he's 24 years old. Last season, he hit .284 with 22 home runs, 79 RBIs, no stolen bases, a .355 on-base percentage, and 426 at-bats. Probably the most power on this list, the Diamondbacks' 4th-round pick in the 2020 draft is a big boy, standing 6'3", 210 pounds, and hitting 22 home runs last season. Vukovic has the potential to add a little more pop to the Diamondbacks this season if called up. Starting his career as a center fielder, AJ's been playing more left and right over the last 2 seasons. Right field's tough, with Carroll in front of him. But left field may provide a slightly better opening with Gurriel's health and assuming Lawler remains Lawler. Although, Lawler has had a hot start to the year this season. Vukovic stole 36 bases in 2022 and 20 bases in 2023, but only attempted 2 in 2025 and was not successful on either. He hasn't attempted one this short season, but he is hitting .351 so far. The power has remained, hitting 24 home runs in 2023, 17 in 24, and 22 in 2025. His .498 slugging percentage last year is nothing to shake a stick at. I don't know why he stayed off the base pass, maybe injury related. I couldn't see if that was the case. But if he could get back to even a 10 to 15 steals guy and mix in 20 to 25 home runs, I can see no reason why the Diamondbacks wouldn't want to give him a platoon spot this year. He's played all the outfield positions and the corner infield spots. So the Diamondbacks could find a place for his bat at some point this year. We are down to the top 3, and that leaves us at number 3, Christian Robinson. He's a left fielder. He's in AAA. He's 6'3", 190 pounds, and he's 25 years old. Last season, he hit .254 with 17 home runs, 60 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, and a .371 on-base percentage. That was in 425 at-bats. Reno has talent this year and some serious pop between Vukovic and Robinson and one other player coming up on this list being there this season. I expect a lot of balls to leave the ballpark in the biggest little city in the world. But I put Robinson one spot higher because he gets on base a lot more than AJ, and he has shown off that speed. He is 1 year older than Vukovic and a little bit smaller, but I think the 24 stolen bases and the .371 on base percentage make him stand out a little more. It's no secret the Diamondbacks need speed, and a little power wouldn't hurt at all. Both Vukovic and Robinson have a tendency to strike out. I don't know if I mentioned that when I was talking about AJ. But Robinson also carries a lofty walk percentage, comparatively, walking 77 times last year and 512 plate appearances. I fully expect another player on this list to get the first shot at the utility outfield spot or even an everyday outfield spot. But if they stumble or Lawler does Lawler things, both Robinson and the mystery man coming up can get a shot in 2026 to roam Arizona's outfield. That brings us to number 2, Daniel Egan. I got a few Egan cards. Figured I'd show you that. He is a starting pitcher. Ooh, shook the ground there. He's a starting pitcher. He's in AA. He's 6'4", 205 pounds, and he's 23 years old. Last season, he was 7-8 with a 2.99 ERA, a 1.12 WHIP, and he struck out 153 batters and 117 in a third innings pitched. He also had a 189 batting average against. Daniel Egan of Channel fame will be the first player from Presbyterian College to make the majors, assuming he does, and I am making one of you and me here, since the great Lou Brissy in 1947. Adding a few miles an hour to his fastball and mixing in a splitter to offer to hitters last year, Egan found success getting hitters to chase pitches out of the zone. Will this ability to get hitters to chase transition to the bigs with more disciplined hitters? That's really the question with him. His gyro slider and his big breaking curveball are his number 3 and number 2 pitches, respectively. But he'll need to get those to hold the zone a little longer or to catch the corner a little more if he wants to continue his strikeout success on the next stage. He's a big boy, and he throws from a high arm slot, so it does make things difficult for hitters. Striking out 153 hitters last year and 117 in the third innings pitched, Egan did walk 52 batters, so he'll definitely need to cut down on that a little bit. Although it did not really hurt his whip any last season, as he carried a respectable 1.12 whip, mostly due to only giving up 79 hits, though. If he can keep those strikeouts lofty and cut down a little bit on those walks, he could find a spot at the end of the Diamondbacks rotation as early as this season. They could use another arm with all the injuries on the mound. And drum roll. Number 1 is Ryan Waldschmidt. He is a center fielder. He's in AAA. He's that other player we were talking about. He is 6 foot, 205 pounds, and is 23 years old. Last year, he hit .289 with 18 home runs, 78 RBIs, 29 stolen bases, a .419 on-base percentage, and 484 at-bats. Well, no surprise here. Waldschmidt's been considered a top prospect since the Diamondbacks drafted him in 2024 with Corbin Carroll's Rookie of the Year PPI selection. Stuck in left field in 2024 with Drew Jones covering center, Waldschmidt's found a spot in center field at AA last season and AAA so far this season. I believe this is where Arizona would love to have him, with Thomas being in arbitration 2 next season and having struggled the last few years at the plate. The Diamondbacks may be itching for some offense, and Waldschmidt may be the answer. Touting an impressive .419 on-base percentage last season, along with 18 home runs and 29 stolen bases, Waldschmidt has become a serviceable option at the plate and has been no slouch in the field either, with a 1,000 fielding percentage at center over the last 2 seasons. His crouch stance and light movement approach at the plate has helped him cut down on those Ks and keep the walks up, having 96 walks in 134 games. If he can get on base at that clip this season, although he hasn't quite yet, and keep that slugging around .473, the Diamondbacks will be itching to get him up sooner rather than later. That's all, folks. That's our list for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let me know down in the comments if you agree, disagree. There's some other player I should have had on here, somebody that shouldn't have been on here. If you guys think I missed something, point it out. Let me know. I love to look into players, and I love doing these lists. Next up is going to be my boys. We always have fun doing them, although they let us down every year as far as the prospects go. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed that list. There'll be more to come. If you want, you can subscribe over here, and you can watch another video, probably a prospecting video, over here in this area. Thanks for watching. The switch hitting dicks. Don't say that. Just JD. Go with JD. That does not sound. Oh, man.